So today I will be installing a piece of wiring harness that I have laying around directly to our starter battery, and the end goal is to hopefully constantly power our Auxbeam switch panel. Now the goal is whenever we roll to our campsite, I wanted to have the option to flip a switch to constantly power those two Diode Dynamics lights that I have at the back of the vehicle. Now I do have a relay built into this harness. I do not think you need a relay for this to work. Do not quote me on it. Having said that, I wanted to say that I am not an electrician or a certified automotive mechanic by any means, so follow this at your own risk. Also, doing this install will eventually drain your starter battery, and doing so may leave you stranded in the middle of nowhere. So having said those two disclaimers, let's start the install. I started mounting the relay using a self-tapping screw. Next, I trimmed the wiring harness according to my preferences and removed unnecessary components. The most challenging part, at least for my case, was routing the cable for the switch through the driver's side grommet. I like my switches to be on this row, so I'll be pulling this panel off and I'll be replacing this, I think this is the windshield wiper heater element, which I never actually used even when we're up north. So I'll be taking this out and I'll be putting the switch right here. For this panel, you just have to pull it towards you. You can go underneath this steering wheel right here and should come off. Just take your time. That should be all the space I need to disconnect the connector for the switch right here and replace it with the switch that I like. It will be easier if you push it at the back, and it should like pop right out. You will see that there's a small clip right here where I'm pointing at. You just have to press that clip and it should come right off. Now the next step is to route this cable for the switch underneath the dash all the way up and coming out from the port right here. After that, I stripped the wire for the switch and matched the colors for the connections from the wiring harness to the switch. Alright, she's all done. So next stop is to wrap this up with Tesa or electrical tape. Alright, this ended up having too much slack than what I originally wanted, but I'm gonna leave it like this. I will connect this switch just in case something goes wrong, then I don't have to do too much work to undo everything. Now it's time to connect to the battery. The first step is to disconnect the negative terminal. I'm using a 13mm wrench here, but since mine is aftermarket, the size of your battery terminal may vary. Alright, after a night, I'm back again to do another video because I totally forgot to include a very important piece, and that is how I powered the Auxbeam switch panel. So from the wiring harness that I've used, there's going to be two wire connections coming from the relay, which is red and black. The red wire is what I used to connect the power source for the Auxbeam. I just soldered the two red wires together and tucked it in here and made it neat. And the black wire, it splits from the relay, and I connected it to the negative terminal of the battery. After a few hours of tinkering and doing trial and error, apparently it's not as simple as red to red or black to black. At least for this case, it's not. For this particular wiring harness, it's yellow to red, then red to green, then black to black. I took out my multimeter and tested all the connections, and everything checks out perfectly fine. So this is the correct connection for my wiring harness and this switch.